Hi, I'm Raj Bhavsar, and this is my Urban Asian profile. Well, I first got into gymnastics when I was 4 years old, and it was more so by force. My parents wanted me out of the house because I had pretty much broken all the furniture in the house. I was climbing on top of sofas and bookshelves and jumping off, and they were pretty much like, well, what do we do with this kid? So one of my dad's coworkers said, why don't you put him in a gymnastics class? And so they did that, and from a very young age, there was just this sense of love that developed with the sport. From a young age, you're really anxious to do those big skills and big tricks, but it's not a sport of instant gratification. It's actually quite the opposite. Some of the skills that you might be seeing during the Olympics that look really easy could actually have taken 15 years to develop and master. So there's a big element of patience that comes along with gymnastics. It takes 20 years to even reach that point to be called one of the best gymnasts in the nation. So it's an incredible honor to get there, but then to actually perform in order to make an Olympic team or a world championship team, you have to do extremely well at the national level. My mantra in competing has always been to stay present. You know, a difficult sport like gymnastics and a pressure of a national competition, it's extremely difficult, and only the best survive. My biggest inspiration throughout my Olympic push has to be my parents and my family. You know, and when I say that, my extended family as well. I have a huge extended family of cousins and aunties and uncles, and it's fantastic because at all the big competitions, they would all come together and they would support me, and it was just so great to look up in the stands and see an entire section that was a rooting section for Raj. It just, regardless of how I did, whether I brought home last place or first place, it was always cheers. Being a role model for a lot of Indian kids and the Indian American community here in the US was a goal of mine, but it was kind of an underspoken goal. It wasn't the main reason I was competing in gymnastics, but I knew I was doing something different. So when I was finally announced to the Olympic team, I knew not only did I make my family proud and I'm gonna make my country proud, but I knew being an Indian athlete in a different sport like gymnastics, I was gonna make the Indian American community really proud, and they jumped on board and they got behind me, and I'm really grateful for their support. It took me 27 years of gymnastics to realize that this sport is really art in motion at the highest level. And I realized that I have this artistic element to me that I can't not pay attention to it, you know? I may be doing things in business, but there's an artistic component that I want to embrace and that's why I began to study acting. You know, I worked with Cirque du Soleil for a while, and I got to play some characters and kind of really just started to fall into it, and acting kind of became a performance type thing that I had in gymnastics. And now that I'm not in gymnastics anymore, I'm looking for that a little bit, and it fills that void. It feels good. You know, the joy for me in acting is in the doing of acting. I think there's a very important gap that's being filled between Hollywood and Bollywood now, and I think people are starting to share resources, which is just gonna, you know, boost the level of the industry that much more. So however I can help, thumbs up, let's do it. A perfect transitional piece from gymnastics is what I'm doing with the yoga community and helping to build yoga sports. Yoga sports have been around in India and in the East for many years, but when it moved over to the West, there was an educational gap that came along with it. So what we're trying to do here in the West and all over the world is develop yoga sports, and I'm going to be working closely with an organization to help to develop the international governing body of yoga sports, and it's a great endeavor. It's going to be fantastic, and I'm hoping to see a new sport in the Olympic Games. Hey everybody, I'm Raj Bhavsar. You can catch me on Facebook, on Twitter at Rajnastics, and on my website, which is currently under maintenance, but coming soon, rajbhavsar.com. This is my Urban Asian profile. Thanks for watching. Set your bar extremely, extremely high.